I can. That's better. Yeah.
Perfect. How are you, Daniel?
I'm well, thanks. Nice to meet you. Where are you based?
I'm actually based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Ah, awesome. Ah, very
Yes,
cool. Yeah,
yes.
I thought you might have been in the States because yeah, often I get invitations from America, but yeah, I mean I'm originally from Australia, so that part of the world.
Yeah, closer. That's why you're yes, that's the thing. You're from Victoria? Is it Victoria?
Yeah,
No?
from Melbourne originally, but
Melbourne.
I'm
Okay.
living in Germany now. So I've been here
Right.
10 years. Yeah,
10 years. That's a long time. You love it
it
there?
is. I do. I do.
Okay.
Hamburg's an amazing city. Yeah, but it's very different to what I'm used to at home. Um, so yeah, I could really go on one when it comes to living in Germany.
Right. I mean, that's gonna be one of your questions.
Awesome.
Yeah. So okay, you're good to start? We can start?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Right. Hi, Daniel. Nice to meet you.
Hi there. Nice to meet you. It's a real pleasure to be on the show.
Yes, real pleasure to have you on board as well. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for that podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. Juxtaposition of your very soul. So I'd like to say thank you very much for actually saying yes to be interviewed today and for sharing your story to my listeners and as well as your fans because you're an artist yourself. Yeah. So I'm just going to read a bit of introduction about yourself to our listeners today. Yeah. So, guys, we have Daniel Thomas here, who is an Australian writer, actor, and filmmaker based in Hamburg, Germany. So, he completed his Bachelor of Arts degree in the Victorian circles, where he worked in the architecture and also played drums in original rock bands. However, in 2008, he left the design industry and moved to London to perform shows around the UK for 2 years. Right. Then in Europe, he was drawn to Germany's appreciation for the arts. And then 2012, he relocated to Hamburg and then has been featured in commercials, TV, and film, including a lead role in the indie feature film Edda Tudor. Welcome, Daniel. That's a
Thank you so
lot of
much.
accolades.
Yeah, it's a lot of history kind of in a short statement there.
Yeah, let's uncover that one by one. So so how what was it like growing up for you as a as Daniel Thomas?
I had quite a I had an interesting childhood. I was born in the UK and went to Australia. My family migrated there in 1981, which is obviously uh, a very different world to the UK. So I have early memories of living in the outer suburbs of Melbourne with gum trees and lots of sunshine and things like that. But at 5 years old, I was very much affected by parental divorce, and
Mm,
then preceding that, my mother had a lot of battles with her health, and this I had a very loving childhood, but these events very much shaped my own experience and had a big impact on me into my teenage years. Yeah, that's kind of the overall view of the very early stuff.
right. So yeah, I guess that will tie up nicely to the next question. Like, so what made you decide to leave your homeland?
Yeah, that's a big it's a big question.
Yeah.
I think I needed to make a very drastic change, and I kind of subconsciously knew that by taking a very dramatic left turn, it was also going to help me start to question things about myself and really discover what I wanted to do with my time on the planet. So the first before I moved to the UK in sort of my mid 20s, mid to late 20s. But prior to that, I was kind of throwing myself into everything. I was very keeping myself very busy. I'm a very determined person, but I was doing a lot of things. I was doing architecture degree, architecture studies. I was playing in my first rock bands. I was working full time. I had already um, got work in the architecture industry. I was living a very excessive lifestyle in terms of partying on weekends and alcohol and kind of drinking like the world was ending, which we do in Australia when we're young. So eventually I just got to a point where my physical and mental well-being started to suffer. And
Mm.
unless I made a drastic change within myself, I was headed down a pretty shaky path. And I started to suffer anxiety and things like that for the first time, which I hadn't really experienced in such a heavy way. Um, so I've always been very committed. When I decide on something, I go all in. I can be a little bit extreme in that way. So
Mm.
my band at the time, in when I was around 27, um, we had been playing in Melbourne for 6 months, and we kind of knew the Melbourne scene from previous bands. So we just made this decision to move to take the band to London and be full-time musicians. So leave everything behind, families,
Wow.
girlfriends, jobs. I had a very
Really? You
yeah,
can you uprooted everything and went to London. Okay.
basically,
What?
exactly. So I had a very my path in terms of my career and so on was looking good in Australia. I had kind of a set course there, but the struggles I was having with myself and my desire to express myself as an artist was not being fulfilled, and this was also having an impact on my well-being. So when we decided to move to London, I had very ego-driven ideas of becoming a rock star, and it was an amazing experience. It really was, but like life often does, it didn't present what I thought it was going to, and I learnt a whole lot of other more important things along the way, particularly starting to address the things that I needed to within myself.
Something like your past trauma or your.
Yeah, I mean, my behaviors were kind of misaligned with who I was. Things weren't matching up. Like I
Mm.
mentioned earlier, some of the excessive behavior. I was very much trying to escape, and I had been not in my life in Melbourne. I had been keeping myself very busy so that I didn't really have to sit with myself and deal with a lot of the stuff from my childhood.
Yeah.
Um, so part of this dramatic left turn was a way of me confronting that and like having the space, which is kind of crazy because I was going sort of on tour but by taking this dramatic turn, I think, which is common with people who travel internationally or leave home in that way, um, it was such a kind of intense experience in this new world in London that I finally had the time and space to really start looking at myself.
Right. So, okay, maybe we're gonna go a little bit back to the formation of your band. So, how did you form your band? Like, you're the
I've been
first, yeah, your first guest has actually said that, oh, he's in a band. So that's interesting.
um yeah, that's an awesome question. Just I was in a few bands in Melbourne. I was in one when I was 18 for about 5 years, and we did really well in Melbourne. Unfortunately, when that finished up, I stepped away from drumming. I was a drummer, and I kind of put it aside to focus on my career.
Mm.
And then I realized, after a couple of years of not doing it, I realized how important it was to me in terms of expression, and how
Ooh.
that self-expression, even though it was very physical on the drums and the pressure of like performing and so on, it was actually really good for me, and I had kind of turned my back on it in a way. So I decided to try and reconnect with drumming, and a friend, in answer to your question, a friend who I'd known, a singer who I'd known, contacted me and was trying to put something together. And then pretty quickly we found a guitarist and had formed a new three-piece. And like I say, we were very familiar with the scene in Melbourne. So within this short frame of time, we were able to get some good shows and build like a little
You
bit of a
rose to fame.
following. We knew how to kind of, but we also saw that in Melbourne we were maybe going to hit like a glass ceiling in terms
Mm.
of how far we could take it. So that's when we were like, hey, why don't we try and take this bigger?
So it's like an outlet for you then to be
Very
like
much
you,
so. Yeah.
yeah. So
And
it's like
I was a very shy kid, and kind of kept to myself, and it took me a long time to come into my confidence. But when
mm,
I first did my first gigs when I was like 18, 19, being behind the drums gave me this it empowered me, and
wow.
it gave me this strength that I was really a big fan of. But like I say, the more I made myself busy, I turned my back on it and tried to, get really career driven, and which was, good too. I mean, I had an amazing experience in architecture, but it wasn't the nature of the corporate world wasn't fulfilling me, and art was, whether it be music or filmmaking. And that's why going to London, I was like, you really have to step into your own as an artist.
Wow. So, okay. Still one more question on band relationships. So why do you think being in a band can be challenging at times?
A band is like a marriage.
Okay.
It's a relationship. Do you play an instrument yourself, or?
I sing occasionally.
Ah, nice. In the shower, or
And karaoke room, and I did perform this year at my company's annual dinner. So yeah, that was the
Oh,
first
awesome.
time.
Amazing. Were you nervous for that,
Of
or?
course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take it one for the team because nobody was gonna perform. So okay, let me volunteer. But I had another friend, so it was two of us. It was a duet. So
Ah, cool. Ah,
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you've had a taste of performance, but band relationships, they're consistently very, very difficult because there's often not just two people, there's three or four. And creatives, a bunch of creatives, and there's egos, and there's all sorts of things involved. And balancing that dynamic between whether it be three or four or even five or more people is really, really, really tricky. And the bands that survive the longest, and some of the big bands like Coldplay and U2 and these guys, I always notice that they have worked really hard at their relationship,
Mm,
because if they don't have the foundation of their relationship, like any relationship, if they don't have that um, kind of sorted out, the band can just collapse overnight. Um, so because I've been in a few bands, I've found that over and over and over that it's so important to work at the relationship, aside from like trying to make the best music you can and get better as musicians, all the kind of practical stuff. To me, it's like really about the relationship and keeping that like thriving.
mm. It's about because like I mean even in the corporate world, whatever they say, as you rise up, it's not about the work, it's about the people. It's always about the people. The work you can do it. It's
Very much
yeah.
so. And
Yeah.
I've said that every time I've retired from the architecture industry, which is about 47 times. Uh,
Why 47 though?
oh, the nature of architecture and me
Ah,
kind of stepping away, and it's
correct.
sort of I've had to go back like it. When you have a qualification, but you're trying to do something else, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because
Oh
it's
yes.
you have this. People say you're crazy. You have this degree, you have this career. Why would you go and be a broke a broke musician or you know.
So true.
Um, but
Whatever
every
it is
time,
I'm facing right now as well. Yeah. I'm an accountant
amazing.
by qualification, but I'm starting podcasting just because I want to talk to people. So, but then,
Um,
yeah, I have family members probably saying, what is she doing? But it's okay.
I can relate to that because I was sitting in a meeting some time ago for
Mm,
hours, and this meeting was just, it wasn't achieving anything. It was a business meeting, and it just wasn't achieving anything. And I just had a moment, which I imagine might be similar with you, which was, I was like, I can sit in meetings like that, or I can sit in conversations like this.
mm, yeah.
And for me, it was like, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was sort of like, well, a conversation like this is to me and hopefully to the audience has so much more value than some meetings I've sat in for hours and hours and hours. Um, I veered off a little bit, but I just every time I left an architecture job and had to make a speech, I always said what you said earlier, which is it's about the people. And I and I really believe that a company's value is its people. And I think sometimes companies don't see this. They're obviously focused on profits or whatever it may be, but to me it always comes down to to the people. And often when people aren't heard, you see this toxic culture start to happen and people just leave, and then who do you have to run the show?
Yeah, that's true. So, what is it like being an Australian actor in Germany?
Well,
We
that's
jump from band and then to being an actor in Germany. Yeah.
yeah. So the German experience is kind of part two of the journey. So
Okay.
I
Oh,
mean,
so
well, no, no, no.
you're
I mean, no.
do you
It
wanna
all
do you wanna talk more about part one?
it all ties together.
Okay.
As a result of being in London, and when the band finished, I was introduced to Germany. I was fascinated with Germany, but my ex, who is she introduced me to Hamburg, and I just loved Hamburg. And when the band experience finished, and I sort of also had to go back to Australia for a little while before I came to Germany. Again, it was one of these resets, similar to when I left architecture and did the musician thing. I found myself in the same position again.
Mm,
What do you want to do? How do you want to make an impact as an artist? What do you want to do? And I grew up with film. My father's a filmmaker. He makes documentaries. I grew up on sets. I grew up around film, and it's a very comfortable place for me. And I had always had an interest as a kid in performing,
mm,
and I had done a workshop acting as a child, and I was in a documentary when I was 16. So there was part of my childhood dream essentially was to be an actor, and I loved playing in bands because of this performance element. So anyway, with this second kind of reset, I was like, well, now I'm really going to take it back to my childhood dream and start pursuing acting and filmmaking. But I moved to Germany primarily for my son.
mhm.
Uh, and so again, I was just told that I was crazy and
Was it was
realist.
it was it a scary experience for you? Like when the
Com-
world is saying, "Why are you doing this
actually,
again?"
yeah, actually, no, it made me more determined.
Well, prove
Um,
you wrong. You
yes,
say
I
no,
think,
I'll do it twice and better.
and but realistically and practically, what I was attempting to venture into was really crazy because the English is not the native language here. There's simply no need
Mm,
for an Australian actor in the work that's going on here. Um, and so and also I was coming to Germany to be a father, so I couldn't really mess about. I had to find a way very quickly, but at the same time, I was determined, because for me to be the best father I can be, I need to be following I need to be creatively fulfilled. Otherwise, I'm not the best version of myself for my son. If he sees me stuck in an office job that I don't like, it's not necessarily conducive to me being the best father. So I was very determined to not only be the best father I could be, but to pursue my my artistic life through acting and film. And when people told me to my face that it was ridiculous, it just made me more determined. I was like, if I can just embrace the unique thing I have, which is the fact that I'm an Australian actor in Germany, just embrace
Yeah,
it.
it's the value. It's the identity.
Yeah, and it took me a lot of trial and error and a lot of throwing myself into things here that were a little bit crazy to find my way. And ultimately, I started to push towards taking it into my own hands by making my own stuff.
Right. So what are these own stuff that you're doing actually?
So, I mean, I with the acting work, I managed to get I managed to do work in commercials, get some bit parts on TV, and then I had a lead role in an indie feature film. It all taught me so much. And then after that, I was like, well, I really want to focus on the stories that I want to tell in whichever medium is best, whether that's writing, filmmaking, acting. It's all storytelling. So it's about what's best for the story. So the first thing I did was made a series pilot, a TV pilot, which I wrote and directed and was in. And I just used all the resources I had around me, and made this pretty cool little pilot, I think. And it picked up a couple of small film festival awards and things like that.
Oh,
So that was my first venture into really making something myself. And I also made a short doco about my drum teacher. And I've recently just shot another short film. So I'm always writing and developing stories that are trying to say something, that are what are they trying to say, and what's the best thing that I can offer to this story. So that's very much what I'm focused on now. And podcasting is storytelling too. Um,
thank you for that. Yeah, I need that encouragement. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually very true. Yeah, podcasting, it's yeah, because of technology and I don't need to have, like I told myself, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but didn't feel like I had the right time. But I said, I'm just gonna hook up to be honest, right now, you're on an iPad. It's not even a proper camera.
I
I
love
have
it.
yeah, it's a proper camera and Riverside. Thank you, Riverside, for making it affordable for me to actually interview people. And it's good, it's just small, but I've at this point I think I've spoken to at least I started this just 3 months ago, maybe 20 people, and I
Mm.
release per episode. So, and I have a few more coming up. Like, it's really
I
amazing.
love it. I'm a firm believer the only way is by doing, and there's just no way to get it right the first time. So it's like a lot of people naturally, and I've experienced myself, are quite crippled by fear, and
Yeah.
I have been too, and it's it's just about braving the risk of failure and then just learning by the doing. And like my podcast, when I started, I had no idea what it was. I was very inconsistent with it. Because this was a few years ago when there wasn't the resources now in terms of scheduling and getting guests and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was very inconsistent. I didn't really know what it was, and then over the time, I've just continued to learn and try and make it better, and actually really found what it's about and become more consistent. And there's nothing magic about it. It's just been by doing and putting in the work. So it's awesome that you've taken the leap, because often it's hard to just even take that first messy leap. But that's, and I've learned this in the acting world, just falling flat on the face, you know.
Mm,
I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear of falling flat on my face.
yeah,
And
and
then I
like
did.
ridiculed,
Yeah, yeah.
embarrassment. Yeah,
I had huge fear about falling flat on my face publicly, and I did over and over and over again, and it was fine. I didn't die.
yeah, that's true.
I I mean, particularly on stage in London and shows and things that went wrong in shows, you know, like electrical things blowing up or drums, you know. Um, this was sort of like public bombing,
Mm,
and it really strengthened my character. Like it can pull you down. It can pull you down, or you can see the growth that it offers.
yeah.
And now I see it every day here in Germany when I'm trying to speak German. Um, it's a particularly difficult language, and I basically fail every day with it. And if I allowed that to get me down, I wouldn't have been able to like build the life here. But I actually now I just embrace it. So it's awesome that you're doing it, and it's classic that you're on the iPad, and in time things will get you. It's the only way to do it. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, funny, you said you're learning. Well, of course, it makes sense that since you're in Germany, you have to at least learn German. But right now, I am dipping my toes into learning Spanish, and
Ah,
I
cool.
did, yeah, and I did Korean, simply because I like the K-pop culture. Okay, so Asian still,
Ah,
and
K-pop.
then
Yeah, yeah,
K-pop,
K-pop.
yeah,
Hey.
K-pop, and then that was I took two level one, level two, and then I'm like, okay, this is good. Now I can read the what do you call that? It's called Hangul.
Mm,
The yeah,
the
and
characters,
the
the little.
characters. That's right, the characters. And then now I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what Spanish is all about, because I'm originally Malaysian, but by blood I am Filipino. So
Ah,
Filipino, Philippines, the Spaniards were there for hundreds of years, and then I do have that ancestry. So growing up, my parents, they used to throw little Spanish words here and there, and then I sort of picked it up. But then now it's like, okay, you know what? Why don't we try to see how far I can go with this
very
language?
cool. Yeah, Spanish. I think Spanish is a little bit more intuitive in a way to pick up
Yeah,
from my experience dabbling in it. But German to me, it doesn't.
yeah. I think German is another creature.
The grammar is like rocket science.
Oh, shoot.
I found when I did some Spanish course, I started to actually have very basic conversations quite quickly.
Okay.
But German, not the case.
Good in talk, and then that's the only thing I know. Okay. So, how would you relate liberation and artist? The word liberation and artist.
um, yeah, I think a healthy form of self-expression can just be very freeing.
Mm,
Um, that's what I that's what I seek, is this health, to be able to continually do this in a sustainable and healthy way, is very freeing for me. And like I said earlier, I kind of I need that. It's just the way I'm built. Um, and so it's of a very high importance to me. And part of coming to Europe, I did see more of an appreciation for the arts than I had experienced. There's a long history of art here in Europe, and that was one of the things that drew it to me. So it's very high on my list of priorities. Um,
so it's like, I guess the right word to say is that being an artist, which is being, because we're all creators, right?
Mm.
So creators means what? When you create something, you're an artist. So, and when you're able to create something, maybe out of nothing, or even you make something that's already there, but something new, it's still a creative pursuit. Therefore, it's very freeing, I guess, in a sense.
It's free, and it's interesting for me is I consider myself creative, but particularly in architecture, I never did crazy stuff. My stuff was always very like clean and like simple and
Solid and like
solid, and
good, yeah.
it wasn't like sometimes I think people think creativity is like this wild, crazy stuff,
Yeah.
but actually, I go back to sort of quite structured, structured
But
things.
have you ever like maybe tried to do, I don't know, in your architecture days, were you ever been tasked like, okay, to design something that is wow, like not like,
You know what? You know what was hilarious? The first architecture studio I ever did, they said, go around the streets and
Mhm.
find like rubbish and make
Rubbish.
like a sculpture out of it, like garbage. Find garbage.
Really?
And so this course was going to cost thousands of dollars, as a degree does. And the first day I'm walking around the street putting my hand
Finding
in like rubbish bins. And so I'm like holding up a banana peel and I'm like, is this really what I'm going to spend
and then
thousands of
yeah,
dollars?
ugly. So, so what did you do out of it?
I
And then you seriously questioning your life choices, or if it was me, my
well,
parents, if only they knew.
not only that, but I had to like present it. I think we
Oh,
I think we put the banana peel on like a stick and it like balanced or something. And then
right.
and then I had to like the public bombing again. I had to stand up and say why it was so wonderful. And I was just like I exactly what you say. I was like, what am I doing? Like, is this really what I signed up for, you know?
Hmm. And then, but then I mean, you graduated, right? And then, but I think it's all recognizing from this, from a kid that you've always had that flair, right? And then
Mm,
sometimes, like I think before when I was a kid, my dad has always placed very high emphasis on studying, and
mm.
I wanted to become a no, see the word wanted. It's not at the time I didn't know better. Like it wasn't even aligned to what I was. So it's about getting which course or which job is going to get the money, and yeah. So it's always been like that for me as well. And funny enough, for people, every time they hit something terrible in their life, some event, and then they're forced to wake up. Okay, is this your true? Is this what you're
Mm.
supposed to be doing? And
It can take something like that to really shake people's world up. And
mm,
to me, often things come back to this awareness and
yeah,
just getting as attuned as possible in an aware sense. But often it's like by doing a whole heap of the wrong stuff because it's easy to know what you don't like, right? If you don't like it, you
yeah,
don't like it. And if you're
yeah.
sitting somewhere or you're in something, you just know if it's not like you're like, I really don't like that. So it's easy to like cross that off.
Hmm.
It's easier said than done when you're trying to pay the bills and obviously everybody wants to to build their financial future and security and everything. But to me, because I've taken a lot of left and rights and a lot of risks,
Yeah.
and I've had very unstable times. Um, I've really learnt the true value. I just very much have a faith
I
that
like
if
that.
you do,
I like that.
yeah, I have
That
a
faith.
faith. I have
Yeah.
a faith. The more you get aligned with yourself, and the more you step into that stuff, like you're doing with this show, the more you do that, I just have a faith that the rewards will come. I really believe that. And many times, I have to grit my teeth
Mm.
and just hold on to that faith and not fall back into the fear of, um, you know, it's a very tricky balance, but I do have that faith.
Thank you, Daniel. Every time I speak to a guest, it's like um mm, you I get reminded that okay, what you're doing is, you don't see the rewards. Like, to be honest, I just like to talk, but then it's very reassuring and very very encouraging to hear it from a guest itself. Thank you so much.
Yeah, me too. And because I know it, and I have the same. Like whenever I speak to someone, um, there's just such value in this type of connection, even though it's through a screen. Um, and I have the same thing. As you say, I'm just reminded, and it's brave and it takes courage to step into these, and it's in this world of like oversaturation and noise.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
voice of there's 4 million podcasts. How are you going to do one? Um,
true, true, true. Even
this
find
but this I just block this out. It's growing and growing and growing and changing, and it's like there's just room for everybody. I don't like the word content. I think
hmm
it undermines art. That's just my
Yeah,
personal
that is so
um
true. That is a very good
yeah,
point
I
of
think
view.
I
Yeah,
mean I'm just more kind of focused on, well, what are we trying to say, as opposed to like but in the kind
producing.
of,
Yeah,
yeah. And I understand the having to put a lot of stuff out, and we kind of have this micro attention span now.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm trying to actually, like, I just did a short film, and like you, I just used the resources I had, my recent one, and but even within that, it's only 3 minutes. I'm trying to have some attention space, some space to hold the attention there, and I probably will lose people watching it but it doesn't bother me. I'm actually really trying to encourage people to just have some space there and actually pay attention for more than 2.5 seconds. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of noise, but it doesn't. The main thing is to not let that derail us from what we're trying to do. Because I've had it myself. Why would you try and make this? There's thousands of people doing it. Why would you be an actor?
Yeah.
Same things over and over again. So
That reminded me of a phrase. It's like whenever you're a creator, you're always no, the what you think of, it's like the cake. As okay, so like you said, 4 million people. The slice is getting smaller, smaller, smaller. But it's we just don't realize that there's actually another. You can make your own cake out there.
yes,
Just yeah, with your own
make your
topping,
own cake.
exactly your flavoring, whatever you want to make it a yeah, the layered one or whatever. Just you can have just bake your own cake. You don't need to slice. You don't need to participate in that the other cake.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. There's cake for everyone. There's cake for
exactly.
everyone,
A cake for everyone.
and
You want 2 layers, 3 layers, doesn't matter. It depends on
there's
how far you want it, like how much you want it.
exactly, and there's no rules either. It doesn't have to be a certain type of just um yeah. There's
True.
plenty of cake.
Yes. Plenty of cake. Exactly. So,
Not too much, or we stack on weight. Have to
yeah,
go
yeah.
to the gym.
We can change it to like maybe some fruits or yeah, according your imagination, because we're all artists. So yeah. Okay, Daniel, what does it mean to be a fiercely independent artist, in your words?
It's basically my my
Motto.
ethos. Yeah, my
Okay, your ethos.
motto, I mean, it's personal to me in terms of like I come from a kind of punk rock background ethos. And to me it's really about taking it into my hands as opposed to like knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, can I have permission to be creative now?
Mm,
Please, please let me in." I understand, particularly in casting and stuff, I understand the importance of that process. But for a long time, I was just wasting so many hours asking for, like, please, please let me, when I could have just been making stuff in that time. Um, and so now I'm like probably more practical about it. That's probably being in Germany as well, like more efficient with it. But I'm not waiting. I'm not going to wait for the thing to come and sweep me away. I'm just going to
mm,
keep making my stuff, and hopefully that will also show to other people what I can do. And then if they want to collaborate, it's amazing. Um, so fiercely independent is essentially that. Like, what can I take into my own hands as opposed to being completely reliant on, and like we're saying, there's just so many resources for that. I think it's the way we're going in terms of everything we have at our fingertips. You
yeah,
know, it's going more in that direction, I think.
beautiful. So, okay, I know we talked about this just now, but maybe we can explain it more simply or elaborate it to the audience. Like, how have you learned to embrace failure as an opportunity for growth?
Yeah, again, it's just awareness and the attitude that we approach things with. So the obstacles are always going to come, um, and it's how we respond to them. And I don't even like using the word failure because I just
Yeah,
really think
yeah,
everything is a lesson.
negative. Yeah, yeah.
But
So,
it's how you frame it. There's something to be learned from everything, and the experiences I've had where I've thought things are going to go a certain way and then they haven't gone that way at all.
exactly.
They have
Worry is
taught
a debt.
me,
Wait, worry is a debt that you will never that you never pay.
yeah, yeah, really. And
Yeah,
those experiences have always just taught me like really valuable things. And sometimes I can't see it in the moment. But then in hindsight, I realize I wasn't meant for that at that time, or that's what I thought it was going to be. So now I'm just trying to remain open and approach things really positively in terms of what's that taught me. How can I grow from that? Um, how can I take something from that and just do it better?
beautiful. So how important is commitment to you?
Commitment is a big one for me, just again in terms of like going all in as opposed to like dipping the toe in the water. And I learned this in martial arts. It was one of the I was training in
Oh,
martial arts, and
really? Which one?
ninjutsu. I did like yeah, a kind of traditional ninjutsu in a modern setting.
Right. I did Hokkaido for when I was a kid.
Aikido. No, yeah, that's all
Exactly, Aikido. Yeah,
wrist locks
Mikio.
and things.
Yes, yes, yes. Back when I was 17.
So you're a lethal weapon, yeah?
Left and let me knock some wood here. I've never had to use it. I hope, hopefully, I
Yeah.
never. Yeah, don't have to. But yeah, yeah, it was a good one. My dad pushed me into it, and just go learn. I really appreciate it.
No, that's the aim of martial arts, right? To defuel things, to not actually escalate
That's
them.
true. Exactly. When you see something, you actually run. Don't fight. Only fight when you have to. It's about
Yes,
harmony.
but
Yeah.
on the commitment thing, I just learned in martial arts that like when I went in fully,
Hmm.
it was I came off better sometimes than if I went in half. And by
Mm.
better, I mean like I didn't necessarily, I could still be call it defeated, but it was much more cleaner and certain than when I went in like half. And at that point, I was like, actually, there's a lot of strength in committing to things.
Mm. Yeah.
Again, like you're doing with the show, um, making that choice to commit to it, and then regardless of the outcome, when there's like a clear, and I just find a lot of people, and especially in this day and age, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like in the dating game. Um,
Oh,
I just
that's
cannot imagine.
another
That's a
alien right
whole
there. Yeah.
that's a whole
That's like
podcast of
no, that's the
itself.
yeah, that's like maybe a one episode. No, 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 not one episode, one season.
I
Just
think
to
it's a
debunk
season.
exactly, just to debunk the whole thing. Like, yeah.
I just
Thank
think with the
you.
nature of this um, easily disposable, replaceable. I don't know how commitment sits these days in terms of, well, I could just find another. I could just find another. It's
There's
like,
always gonna be someone better.
it's really,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, but for me, particularly artistically, I just try and commit. Um, and it's a much better place to go from than sort of just dipping the toe in half, you know.
That makes me wonder because you touch upon relationship. I'm like, okay, but then you put it back and say artistically, okay.
Well, no, I mean, I'm yeah, I also had to get to that point in my personal and romantic relationships where it was like, just be clear about what you want. And I'm also not judgment either. Like if
Yeah.
without judgment too, it's like if you want to be somebody that's single and out there, just do that, commit to that. Or if you're in the relationship, commit to that. Or if you believe in open relationships, well, commit to that. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong. I don't have any judgment about it, but it's like I know a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm half in that and I'm half in this, and I'll just like, it's like,
Let's see how it goes.
yeah, let's see how
Let's
that
see how it
goes,
goes.
and let's have this as like a backup, and let's this,
I think we're calling a lot of people out, but okay. This is purely an opinion. It's a podcast. It's like nothing is right or wrong
I,
here. Okay.
I don't want to cause I don't want to cause controversy. Yeah, probably maybe I'm just a bit older school, but
No, no, I
no.
stand by it. But then, yeah. But again, I have caveats in my podcast. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, so this is a question that's going to relate to the essence of my podcast. Imposter syndrome. It's a common challenge right now that affects people in various fields. So how can one overcome this imposter syndrome and really recognize their true value and capabilities?
Yeah, wow. Imposter syndrome is something I have struggled with.
Mm.
Um, really having a sense of ownership and stepping into your own, and it's one of the fiercest like battles with
Oh,
with oneself,
that's so
I
true.
think.
Yeah.
And I don't know too many even very successful creatives and artists who are like, yeah, I've got that down, like but just through I've always found that like through preparation and through doing the work, uh, you know, I have more of a confidence. And when I've been in these big situations like big sets and so on, um, I just by like I said earlier, by continually throwing myself in, I just built more and more confidence, and that slowly quietens the imposter syndrome. So again, I think it goes back to the risk of falling flat on the face. The more you step into that discomfort,
Mm-hmm. Mm,
and the
discomfort.
more you take that risk, the more confidence you gain, and hopefully that imposter syndrome gets a little bit quieter. But I don't know if it ever goes. It's just how you let it affect
Maybe make it
what
as
you
a
do.
friend, right? Make it as
Yeah,
an advisor. Like, you know what?
befriend
Maybe I feel like
befriend
coming out
it.
tonight.
I guess listen to it, but don't let it throw you sideways or throw you off course.
Yeah.
That would be my and as we said earlier, just it's all in the doing, really. The doing, keep doing. Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, we're coming to the end. Few more questions. So yeah, I'd like to yeah spark
My my
something between my guests.
my my through loss, I've experienced loss, as many of us have. And through loss, I've really learned just how precious time is, without sounding cliche, that life really, really is short. And there's so much that I want to do with the remainder of, my time. Um, that my biggest heart's wish is that I can do that and have a really positive impact on other people. And that includes obviously raising my child, but in terms of my creative career, for me, it's how can I say something and leave an impact. That's my biggest heart's wish. And there will be no regrets if I know I've tried. If I have tried and it hasn't worked out, I'm okay with that because I know I tried. But if I'm sitting there in the bar when I'm an old man and I'm like, I
Oh,
really
why
should
should
have,
I should have done
I
that? Why
should
didn't I
have
do
tried,
it?
I should have tried that. That's that's
That's keyword.
perhaps worse.
Mm.
Yeah, that's perhaps worse than I did try, but it didn't
And I
work out.
and I fell flat on my face, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's totally cool. That's totally cool because you took a
exactly.
swing.
Yes.
So I'm also hoping from my heart's wishes for really, there will be, I don't think, I think it's probably crazy to think there's no regrets. You have this perfect life with no regret,
I
but
know.
just to have as few of them as possible at that stage of life would be cool.
Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Um, I've tried a few. I don't have one specifically at the moment. I do try I am enough, or even I'm
That's
sort of,
enough. Let me
yeah,
say
I am
that to you,
more.
Daniel. That's
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. I'm training. Oh yeah. One more thing. I'm training to be a qualified therapist. So I
Oh,
am enough is the very first thing we learn. So that's enough.
cool, cool.
Yes, you're more than enough.
Enough
Great.
is enough.
Enough, enough is
Enough,
enough. And,
enough in German. Enough in German is genug. There you go.
oh, nope.
Genug.
Okay. It's a big dream.
So
Oh
that's
gosh.
enough of the.
Okay. Oh yeah, sorry to all the audience. It was just two are like cracking up. Like we don't
Are
know
they
what's okay.
drunk?
Yeah, I did wrong something. Okay, serious mode. Okay, so what keeps you up at night, Daniel? Do you sleep well, or do you still think of world problems?
Um, I used to really take it all on my shoulders. But now I sleep a lot better. But sometimes this creative thing comes to me in the middle of the night, and And I think that's common with all of us. Like it doesn't necessarily, you know, everybody talks about like routines and everything, which is great in the day. But like sometimes I will be writing or something for 2-3 hours. Nothing really
Yeah.
comes. 4 a.m. in the middle of the night, bang, idea comes. And I'm like, why? Like, I sat there for 4 hours today pushing it and there was nothing. And now at 4 a.m. when I need to get up at 6, the thing comes, you know, whatever that thing is.
Wow. I think that is the reason why you become an actor. Maybe you should try. What's your genre? Like, okay, I saw it when I was scrolling Instagram, your Instagram. It was action. Maybe you should try like being in a rom-com or comedy because I think you'd fit that.
I'm open. I'm open to it.
Maybe I'm gonna clip some of this out when this airs. So yeah, perhaps when your followers can probably see it, and then maybe somebody out there would, oh, you know what? Yeah, maybe he has a knack for it. Like, yeah. And then
You never know. I'm open.
exactly.
I'm open. But yeah. Now when this thing comes in the night, I actually try and jump on it. Like I just take a note or I get up and but it disrupts. It does disrupt the sleep, but it also makes the sleep better because I'm like satisfied if like the idea has come. So,
I just
and
can't
then
stop laughing. I'm so sorry because you said
and then
why? Oh my gosh.
Did-
Okay. Yeah. Oh, my face is red. I mean, I don't want to cut this out from the interview, but yeah.
no, leave
Oh
it.
gosh.
Leave it. This is the definition of falling on the face, you know, when we
Oh
laugh
yeah.
for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But trust, can you promise me, Nicolette, that you will not cut out you will not?
I'll promise you. No, you will see. I'm probably going to, just a few seconds in front before you came in because I pressed the recording. But the rest I'm gonna keep it.
I love it because
Oh gosh.
I used to be very perfectionist with the podcast. I used to edit and now I'm like, you
Oh,
know what? Just let it be. Let it be what it is.
yeah, I will. Don't worry. Oh, this is so fun, I had one guest. She actually sang a verse of "Greatest Love of All," Whitney Houston,
Ah,
because she's
awesome.
and then and here we are, like on something. Oh my gosh. Okay, the closing question, Daniel. Oh gosh. If you could create or have a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
Did you say code? A,
Quote.
a
A quote.
quote?
So it's like
Ah, yeah,
something,
the
something,
quotes are
something,
good.
dash Daniel Thomas, comma 2023.
My own quote.
Yeah. Or even a quote from you wanna build it from somebody or your own quote, it's fine.
Well, I tried both. There's one that I really like from someone else, probably Mr. Internet. I don't know who exactly, but it's we are under no obligation
Uh-huh.
to be the same person we were yesterday.
Oh,
That to me really
preach.
resonates because we're not. You can choose to completely. I've lost
I never take you seriously now. Gosh. Okay. Okay, I don't want to look at you. Look
But that was a very serious quote, I
at
thought.
you. No, no, no. Yes, yes. It's just my mind just wondered why. It's like, no, if I could record, there should be a meme like that. Oh God. There should be a meme. Huh? Okay, okay. Serious, serious. Nicolette, stop. Okay. Yes,
And
coming back.
my coming back to me and what I would say is life is too serious to be taken seriously. That's what I'm thinking of right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we should. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
I got one more. I got one more. One thing I will say from me is just that I really believe that intuition is
He.
a guide. Yeah,
Oh
it's a
yeah, of course.
compass.
Yeah.
You're intuitive. You're
No, I think it's because of your accent as well. Wait, this is an Australian accent, right? This is not English accent.
it's definitely not German, that's for sure.
It's
Um,
Australian. Okay, yeah, Australian
it's
accent. Okay.
it's Australian, but it's a little bit less now that I've been in Europe so long. All right,
No,
guys,
but
we're gonna
I
bring
can,
this home.
no, I can hear it. It's like, okay, okay, sorry. So number one was what was it?
I want you to give them back to me now.
Wait, hang on. Oh wow, it's a quiz. Um, no, I know. Because I rephrase it in my head. We were all born original, so don't die a copy. Okay, so it was something like that because I guest quoted that before. And then number two was life should not be taken seriously. No, no, yeah. And then number three
Well,
was what was number three?
I didn't get to number three. We lost it before number
No.
three. I did get to number three. I did. Listen to the intuition.
Also, yes, drunk. Gosh, it's 12 p.m. at your wait, 1 p.m.
I
right? It's 7 at
I
mine.
don't
So
I don't drink, Nicolette.
excuse me.
I
Oh, you
don't
don't
actually drink.
really
That's a whole nother
another
season right
episode.
there.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. I'm very compelled to ask why, but then maybe this a maybe this yeah, I'm gonna call you for another episode.
Part
Yeah.
two.
Part two, yeah.
Part two.
Oh gosh. All right. Thank
Reboot. A reboot.
reboot, yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, I would like to say this has been a very great time. No, I don't know how to end this like professionally now.
I can
Daniel,
end it
thank you.
professionally if you
Okay,
like.
please, can you do it for me?
Nicolette, you're doing a wonderful thing. It's awesome what you're doing. Keep doing it. And even just laughing for the past 10 minutes is so healthy. And I hope that the audience has a laugh as well. That would be that would be awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. The first my guest is closing for me. Thank you so
I had a guest do that once and I wasn't happy. Like he just started ending the show and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like seriously.
much. This is it my show or is it your show right now? Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Thank you, Daniel. This has been so fun. So I followed you on Instagram. I'm gonna tag you and then yeah, definitely keep in touch.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Bye, Daniel.